Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So just as I was about to start this, my voice has gone all croaky, but never mind, we shall work with that. So this morning, where do the voices in your head come from? And this is not about people who are really struggling with things like schizophrenia. This is just, for most of us, there is, you may or may not have noticed, a continual voice inside your head twittering away about one thing or another. And today, it has a lot of opinions, that voice in your head. I've started to call mine Niggly Nelly. I know people call them all sorts of different things. I know somebody who calls theirs Bob. Bob the drunk guy. Michael Neal says that, I think. But there is this continual dialogue, and it particularly shows up, I think, to stop us doing things that we would really like to do, or to put us down, or to make us think that we're not good enough in some way. And so I thought it would be really interesting to just consider kind of where I come from on this, where do those voices come from? Because for me, in understanding better where the voice came from in the first place, and some things about it, because it is just thought, of course. This is about the nature of thought, which is the nature of the voice in your head. As we begin to understand the nature of it, we can start to take it less seriously. It's a bit like, and this is just coming to mind now, it's a bit like if you had really trusted somebody, a colleague or a friend or a boss or whatever, and then you discovered that they were not honest in some way, shape or form, don't really matter how. After that, you would just stop trusting them. If you found out that they were being fed information by horrible people, and that everything they said to you therefore was the product of their relationship with these awful people, then you would just stop trusting pretty much everything that came out of their mouths. And that's kind of where we're looking today. If that niggly Nelly inside your head is bringing about feelings of resistance, lack of worth, feeling rubbish about yourself, if it's bringing up any of that, that is the red flag to let you know that Niggly Nelly has gone off on one, and that voice in your head is guiding you away from your essence. Because when you are connected to your essence, when you're being guided, when you're connected to who you really are, you won't feel awful. And that's the clue, really. And I talk to a lot of people who listen too closely, really, to that voice in their heads, telling them all sorts of horrible things about themselves, and they believe it. And it kind of dictates actions that they take and don't take. It dictates how they think other people think about them. It brings about a lot of additional thought, which takes people away from well-being and innate health, really. So where do those voices in your head come from? Well, they come from your experience going through life. So when you're born, there are no voices inside your head. Can you imagine that? Just having a clean slate. I think that's something that I kind of help people move towards, beginning to clean some of that crap off the slate, some of that rubbish that we've learned. So we're starting off with a beautiful clean slate. A baby does not have any thoughts about not being good enough or clever enough or capable enough or not being resilient or not being confident, doesn't have those. And you can see that really easily if you spend any time with small people. You know, that babies, you look in the eyes of a baby and you can see that they're just pure love, aren't they? But you know, as that baby begins to grow up and starts to fall down and get up, learning to walk, and repeatedly has to say the same thing and nobody understands what they're saying, but they keep going because those qualities, there's no little voice in their head saying, oh, you're not really good enough at walking. Do you want to just sit down and forget about it? It's not for you, or give up talking. You know, there isn't that voice in their head. They just keep going. And my favorite one is that, you know, when you go to a wedding, who's first on the dance floor? The little tiny children, because they don't care. They haven't even got a thought that other people are watching them and judging them. Whereas most adults need to have a few sherries, don't they? I don't think people really drink sherry at weddings, but anyway, wine or whatever in order to get on the dance floor, because they're super bothered about what other people think about them. And it's interesting, actually, as I've gone further into this journey, I'm noticing that playful silliness coming back out in me. It's been squashed down for a while because I wouldn't have, I'm not doing that, people are. And the other week we were in York, and there was a young lady playing the violin, and I think she's playing Mamma Mia, and I was just dancing. Nobody else was dancing. I didn't care. My fiance wasn't dancing. He's not quite there yet. He was like a little bit uncomfortable with me dancing, but I didn't care. I just danced. I danced because this young lady was playing amazing music on her own. Very young lady, only about 19. And I danced because I felt like dancing, and there was no thoughts in my head about what other people thinking about me, which was cool because they've been there a long time. So we start off as this clean slate with nothing holding us back, really. We're invincible, aren't we? Little children are invincible. You see them, they're just like, do this, do that, try that, do that, break that, don't care. That doesn't work, never mind, do the next thing. It's just all, like, as I'm just saying that, I'm thinking, imagine doing your business from that place. I'll just try that, and if I fail, never mind. If I try that, I'm going to try that, I'm going to try that now. Can you imagine the stuff you would achieve, or, you know, success in the traditional sense, if you just were willing to, I'll have a go at that, and I'll have a go at that, I'll have a go at that now. You would be invincible like those little children. So we start off with this, you know, back to where does this voice in your head come from? We start off from this beautiful clean slate, and then people start to say things to us. And this is not about blaming parents or teachers or anybody else, because they're innocent too. I often say that I'm 51, going on 52, and I often say I'm from the generation who received treat them mean, keep them keen parenting, in that we were told we were a bit rubbish. You know, we weren't massively praised. It wasn't a thing then, back in the 70s and 80s. It was kind of, tell your kids enough times that they're really not good enough and they can do better, and then they'll do better. And there was a part of me that picked up that kind of keep doing better, but it came often from a place of feeling a bit rubbish about myself. And that's not, again, not blaming my parents, but just seeing that that's how it works. So we start to learn, and this is a little bit about where this quality, understanding the quality of this niggly Nelly voice that goes through our head. We start to learn some things from people who are upset with us. So often the things that imprint most, and the things become part of that unconscious thinking that we do, are the things that people say when they're upset. So they call us stupid, and, oh, you're an idiot, why have you done that? And they're just throwaway comments that the trauma of that lasts just a few seconds. But we start to learn those things about ourselves, and then confirmation bias comes in. So, you know, we think we're not worthy or not lovable or not good enough, and then we see bits of evidence around us and add that into the mix. So eventually, those things become pretty imprinted, and then that voice in our head, because it's kind of developed over a period of time. We don't really remember. It's a bit like my little girl. She's 23 on Friday. She's not that little, but when my little boy was born, Sophie was only 22 months. And she has no memory of him not being around. None at all. There is no pre-Jack life for her. He was always there, and she absolutely adored him from the minute he arrived. And she doesn't have a memory of him not being there. And it's a bit like that with that voice in your head. It all starts happening so young, and it's dripped in very, very slowly, that there's, when you get to 51, you've kind of no memory of not having that voice saying you're a bit rubbish, or telling you you're not good enough, or saying people are thinking about you and judging you, or whatever else your voice might say to you. It's just always been there, so it feels really familiar. But and it comes, there's a voice. It's just kind of one voice in the end, but it's created out of all these different experiences that we've had. And I think I've shared some stuff on social media today about Niggly Nelly likes to dress up, and so it comes out with all sorts of different things, and we might take some of them not seriously and others we will take seriously. But isn't that interesting? Because it's all the same voice, it's just disguised in dress. She likes to dress up, Niggly Nelly. So it's seeing that that's all it is. It's all this one voice we learn. And when you start to really kind of go, oh, that's stopping me doing something I really want to do, or that's creating stress in my life, or that's making me feel anxious, it's just the remnants of other people's old thinking. And their thinking's the remnants of other people's old thinking from, this is where the generational stuff comes in. I often think, something coming out of my mouth that my grandma would have said, maybe not so much as it used to, but it does just pass down. And I never met my grandma, by the way. She died way before I was born, when my mum was still a child. So where I'm pointing to here is that this is about starting to take that voice with a pinch of salt. That voice has got nothing to do with the present moment either, or what you're capable of, or what you can actually get up and do. But it can feel really restrictive. But as we start to take it less seriously, we can start to come out the other side of that and start to peel off the layers. And it all starts with seeing that voice for what it really is, that it's just the old remnants of nonsense that you've learned growing up. Nothing to do with you right now, just the past. So yeah, worth just noticing that voice in your head and what nonsense it shares with you today, and sending you lots of love, everyone. And thank you for listening. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.